Hi, this is Jennie at Designs with Paper. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this interactive card and a little bit of watercoloring. Thanks for stopping by. Have a great day.
Okay, for my interactive card today, I will be using this Party Best stamp set from Avery Elle and some dies from My Favorite Things to make the channel so that the bus can move. I'll be using that longish one there on the bottom. I will also be painting this with my Mijello Mission Gold watercolors, and I will edit most of that out because it really did take me a hot minute to do this. I have stamped this on Canson watercolor paper, and I stamped it twice because of the texture, and I am using VersaFine Onyx Black ink. And I'm going to add the presents and the birthday cake to the top of this van. So I'm adding a little bit of masking here, and I'm moving things around in my MISTI so that I can stamp over the images again once I have finished watercoloring. I'm going to do that because I have a Brother Scan and Cut that I will use to cut this cute little image out with. And if the lines are not darker than the coloring, sometimes it's hard for the Scan and Cut to figure out where it's supposed to cut. And I want this to cut right up along the lines. I don't want to have any kind of a white edge around it. Okay, so this is super fast forward, probably like 8 or maybe even 16 times the speed that I would normally paint this. It is super fast. I will not bore you to tears by showing you the whole thing. But I chose a brown, I think it was the burnt umber for the bear, and then a gray for the bunny, a different brown for the dog, and the same gray for the owl, I think. I can't remember. It's been a hot minute since I made this card. And by the way, sorry if there is background noise. I am sitting in my car while my kids are at their piano lesson with the windows down, so there is some street noise. So sorry about that. However, you get lots of pretty birds serenading too. The one thing I have learned about watercoloring is that you have to go in layers and you have to be patient. And I am really impatient. I don't like to let things dry. I want to be able to add the shading instantly, kind of like you can with like Copic markers or watercolor pencils. Another thing that I have learned from watching Debbie Hughes is that use 2 brushes. Now, I am not quite as talented as she is, and I don't have one in each hand, but put the pigment down with one brush and add clean water with the other brush to pull the pigment out. And that allows for a little bit more shading and color layering. So there you saw, I just skipped ahead quite a bit. I've got the animals and the critters painted, and I'm going to go back over that bear because I don't like the harsh lines. I needed a little bit more definition without the lines. And another thing, I am flipping this paper upside down, back and forth all over the place. That is how I color in real life. So sorry if you're getting kind of seasick there. And you keep seeing my hand go over that. My paints are for some reason to the left, and I'm right-handed, so I'm not sure why I had my paints. I don't know. Probably because my desk was a mess, and I didn't want to clean it in order to paint and do pretty things. Because why? I have a 12 by 12 inch square I can work on, right? I don't need to clean the rest of my desk. When I start painting a new object, I try to not paint right next to something that's still wet or that I have just painted. And the first thing I do is add some water into the area and then drop the pigment in and use the water brush to then spread that pigment out again. I'm using a 0 and a 2, size 2 round brush. I'm using the, I think I used the 2 for the pigment for the actual paint and the 0 for the water. I could have that reversed. Like I said, it's been a hot minute since I painted this cute little stamp. I'm really loving these Mission Gold, let's see, what's it called? Mijello Mission Gold watercolors. I feel like they are very saturated in pigment. They are not chalky, which I found with a lot of student grade, especially store brand student grade. They don't have that chalky kind of weird finish. They have a nice texture, or I don't know what the right word is. They're not textured like the way Daniel Smith watercolors are. Daniel Smith watercolors have that kind of granular look to them. And the Mijellos are more of a smooth finish when they dry, but they're not chalky. I don't know. I really enjoy them. And my other favorite watercolors are the Gonzai Tombi watercolors. Oh my goodness, those watercolors have the best colors, and they're so bright and cheery. They're perfect for florals and happy things like cupcakes and birthday wrapping. But anyways, this has taken a really long time. I'm sorry. I thought I edited this down more. What funny joke can I tell you while we wait to get on with this? Card size. I am making a slimline interactive card today. It will fit into a regular business size envelope. So it is 8.5 inches long. And that piece of paper is 7 inches tall, and then I'll score it, and it will be 3.5 inches tall. I have some different color papers. There are a blue, a green, and a black, a grass die, and then there's that My Favorite Things die again. And then here is my cute little image all cut out. I will take this Sharpie marker and go around the edge so that it looks more finished, especially because that watercolor paper is really thick. So it really has that white edge, and I just want this to kind of blend and not have a visible border, especially because this car will move. Yes, this car will move. It is not self-powered. It will need human power, but it will move on the front of this card. My boys love it when I make them cards that move. I think the first interactive card I made was for my now 11-year-old during his semi-truck phase, where he loved all things semi-truck. And we made a semi-truck that moved across the front of his birthday card. But hey, there we go. Nice, crisp, clean edges. And we're going to start with making the background for the card. So like I said, this is a slimline card, but this die, not a slimline die. So I'm going to cut this piece of green paper, which is, I think it's 8.5 by about 3 inches. And I'm going to cut that with the die. And then once I've put it through my die cut machine, I'm going to slide the die down and then just finish cutting that panel. So it will look a little bit like a rolling hill. And that's kind of why I chose the curved one instead of the straight one in that die set. But there we go. So I used my regular die to make a border piece for my slimline card. Okay, so here's my card base, and I'm going to score that at the 3.5 inch mark so that it will be 3.5 inches by 8.5 inches long. And I'm scoring it from both ends a couple of times because it is a heavyweight cardstock. I think it's 110-pound cardstock, and I use a heavyweight cardstock on my interactive cards so that there's strength there, right? So that it doesn't just fall apart. So I have this blue base to kind of mimic the sky, and then I have the grass, and then I have this black piece that I will trim down once I know what size or how tall I need that strip to be for the road that this car is going on. So now that I have decided where this car is going to be, I am going to kind of mostly temporary adhere this. I think the grass does stay put, but I didn't put a ton of adhesive down because I do need to run the die to make the travel channel through this cardstock still. So you can see I'm kind of measuring how big I want this piece of black cardstock to be. And I'll just put a pencil line on the back of that and then use my Fiskars trimmer. I can line the wire up right there with that pencil mark and get it just the right size. All right. Oh, and there's my ATG gun falling all over the place. All right. So here we go. We've got our sky, our grass, and our street or our road. And we have to figure out where to place this die. Now, these My Favorite Thing dies are really cool, and they have what are the little, they have these little round or oval-shaped plastic discs. I think they're called replenishments that will fit into the channels of this die set and the other die sets that they have, so that you don't have to find little round pieces of paper or pennies or there's 100 tricks to use that you can use to make these interactive cards, but these little plastic replenishment discs are perfect. They fit right in between two pieces of circle cut paper. That was a really weird way to say that. Two pieces of paper that have been cut in little penny-sized circles, and you put the replenishment in between it. Anyway, you'll see in a minute. I have taken the green part that cut out with that die, and I'm going to put it back onto that card base so that when the car moves, you don't see the white card base behind in that slot. It will kind of camouflage it. I could have put the blue one down as well, but I was worried that there would be too much height. It would create a problem with the mechanism for the car to move on. All right, and there we have our road and our little travel slot. And now I'm going to put a little bit of glue behind the rest of that grass so that it will stay in place and not get caught on the car. And I managed, I think, to use liquid glue on this card without getting it all over my hands. I think. Of course, that's like the only time I used the glue was right there. So now we're going to use these little replenishments, and that's what I have there in my hand. These little oval-shaped replenishments from My Favorite Things. And I first cut out those little tiny black pieces of paper, but they were too small. So now I have 4 half-inch circles that I punched with a punch out of some heavy-duty black cardstock, and I'm going to use really strong double-sided tape to adhere those replenishment pieces, the little white ovals, to the black circles, one on the front and one on the back. So then you have kind of like this Oreo or this little sandwich where you've got the 2 circles and the white little plastic thing in between. And the way this works is I am going to attach the car to these little black circles, and then the car will move. Now, the one thing I didn't do before I finished assembling this card was to put a pull lever, a little piece of paper that you can use to move the car around. I forgot to put that on the car before I assembled it. Duh. Okay, the way to assemble this card panel to the card, did I say card panel? Card panel to the card front without restricting the movement is to use foam tape. So I am using a ton of foam tape. I don't want the middle to get all saggy and cave in. And I also don't want it too close to the wheels or those little black discs because I want the car to be able to zoom right along that car front. See, look at that. Wee, 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 wee. So now I figured out, oh, dang, I forgot to put the little pull lever. So I pulled out my Lawn Fawn stamp set. I don't know what that's called. It has a whole bunch. I think it's called Push Pull. And I just have a piece of white scrap paper here. It's also heavy-duty cardstock. And I'm going to figure out how long I need it to be and cut it down. And then I will stamp on one end the little word pull from this Lawn Fawn stamp set. I think it's called Push Pull. And an arrow so that the recipient of this card knows what to do with the little white thing hanging off the front of this car. It would have been 1,000% easier to attach this to the car before I attached the car to the card. I could have made it a little longer and given it a little bit more strength. And also it would have been easier to get it to kind of, stick. And then I realized I also forgot to add the white lines on the road. So I pulled out my Jelly Roll pen and just kind of fiddled around and added those white lines to our road. And there we go. That is how you make an interactive card. Now, because this is a birthday card, I am going to go ahead and I am going to stamp the happy birthday sentiment right on top of the card front. I am being incredibly brave because I'm just going for it, but I am using my Misty, so if it doesn't work quite right, I can restamp it. But there we go. Here is Happy Birthday Interactive Party Bus.
Thanks for stopping by, and go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Have a great day.